Let him cook? Let him cook now, dude. PATRIK ALLVIN just cannot keep getting away with this. I am in the parking lot here in Bellingham, Washington. We're going on a plane. We're going to Las Vegas. I was planning to make a vlog when I touched down in Vegas, just talking about my plans for the week and everything. I pre-recorded the next 5 days worth of videos because, I don't want to bring my recording equipment to Vegas. It's Vegas. I want to have a good time. And I was like, okay, great. Hopefully nothing too big goes down over the next few days. I get it. The NHL season is going to begin. We're going to have to make a vlog about the Canucks and their first game of the year. That's all fine and dandy. But this, oh my gosh, we hadn't even gotten to the airport yet. And PATRIK ALLVIN is out here cooking. The Vancouver Canucks have sent defenseman Tucker Poolman with 20% salary retained, $500,000, and a 4th-round pick to the Colorado Avalanche in exchange for defenseman Erik Brannstrom. It is a 2-for-1 trade. And admittedly, when I first got the notification, I was kind of like, okay, great, they got Erik Brannstrom, a guy whom I have been a pretty big fan of throughout his very kind of meandering NHL, AHL career. I was always a big fan of Brannstrom ever since his draft in the 2017 days with the Vegas Golden Knights. But honestly, I kind of forgot that he was on Colorado to begin with. He's a player coming over to Vancouver that is not really coming over to Vancouver because he's coming to Vancouver, because he got placed on waivers immediately after. So essentially, if you map everything out here, what the Canucks did, why they made this trade, and why it works is because Tucker Poolman was making $2.5 million a year against the Vancouver Canucks cap. They didn't want to go into LTIR. They didn't want to push themselves over the limit. They wanted to accrue cap space throughout the year by having a cap hit that is underneath the salary cap limit. They weren't able to do that too well, navigating with the Tucker Poolman contract under their books, so they ended up trading it away. The cost is a 4th-round pick. That's honestly fine. We've seen this before, right? Vancouver is in a very competitive spot in the NHL today, which means that they don't really care about a 4th-round pick this year, next year, whenever. That guy's not going to make the NHL. If he does make the NHL, maybe a 1 in 10 chance of him doing so, he's not going to make the NHL until 2028 or whatever. So Vancouver can afford to lose a 4th-round pick. They get Tucker Poolman off the books too. They retain $500,000, 20% of the $2.5 million salary. But the thing is, with Erik Brannstrom coming over, even though I do acknowledge that, in my personal view, Brannstrom always had top 4, second power play unit, maybe 30, 40 point potential at the NHL level. He was always a really good offensive defenseman for different Swedish teams. He never really was able to carry over that success into the NHL after doing very well in certain AHL years. He was in the Vegas system, he was in the Ottawa system, he's been all over the place, and he was never able to lock down and lock in to play NHL minutes in a meaningful fashion. Now, I like him a lot as a prospect, especially when he was initially drafted, but seeing him come over to Vancouver and getting waived immediately, yeah, not a surprise. The Vancouver Canucks wanted to get something in exchange for Tucker Poolman that they could send down on waivers, which they did, which allows them to free up even more money. I think the calculations via some of the Twitter accounts that I follow ended up saying that the Canucks, with Tucker Poolman's $2 million off the books because they're retaining $500K and getting themselves Brannstrom in exchange and sending him down, they're now saving a lot of money. They have $1.something million in cap space now, which is incredible. That helps them out in such a tremendous way heading into the regular season and heading into the trade deadline period. As we have said, if you're under the cap by a certain amount throughout the year, that amount doesn't constantly stay there at the same rate, because every day that you are under the salary cap, that salary cap cushion, that space that you are underneath the cap by, it adds up and it adds up and it adds up. So by the time the trade deadline comes, you can actually get a guy with a higher cap hit than the amount of cap that you have spent under the cap limit. So Yeah, using a lot of mumbo-jumbo jargon over here, but essentially this is great. This is a great trade for Patrik ALLVIN. Let him cook here. The Colorado Avalanche, I guess, if I had to place myself in their shoes, they wanted to get themselves a contract that they themselves could place on the LTIR. They already have some guys that are placed on there. Gabriel Landeskog, of course, is the big one, but all in all, Colorado is sending away a guy in Erik Brannstrom, whom the Vancouver Canucks may or may not care too much about whether or not he gets claimed or not. And speaking about waivers, we got to talk about this as well. Jiri Patera. Hey, guess what? He's back on waivers, and this is a really good thing for the Vancouver Canucks because with the waiver situation in the first place, Jiri Patera was claimed by Boston when Vancouver placed him on waivers. Boston was near the bottom of the waiver wire order, so what we can assume is that one of the teams, or none of the teams, from waiver order number 1 all the way to waiver order number 20, whatever, where Boston was, none of those teams ended up claiming Jiri Patera. And the best part about Patera going back on waivers now is, by the way, if you didn't catch it, the reason he's going back on waivers is because the Bruins signed Jeremy Swayman. Hallelujah, they got their guy back. But because Jiri Patera is back on waivers, if the Vancouver Canucks claim him, which they could, and if nobody else in the NHL claims Patera, then the Vancouver Canucks will get Peta Scott free, and they will be able to send him down to Abbotsford without any repercussions. No more waivers to go through, none of that stuff, because that's just how the rule works. He got claimed once. If he gets claimed again, and only one team is the team that took him or that sent him away on waivers the first time, if they get him back, then he can go to the AHL. It's going to be all good at Applewood. And based off of the waiver wire order last time, it wouldn't seem like any other team would be interested in claiming Jiri Patera. I think most goaltending tandems around the NHL are already solidified. Tandems, trios, whatever you name it. And ultimately for Boston, Jiri Patera was there just as a safety blanket because they didn't know if Jeremy Swayman was going to re-sign. So he re-signed. Great. Good for them. Thankful for me too because I had him in fantasy and I'm in a keeper league and I took him 4th overall. So obviously that was a really big deal for me. But yeah, Vancouver made a trade and it was a really big one. Let's keep the video going just because, you know, I got some time here in the Taco Bell parking lot, just kind of waiting things out. We're going to be heading over to Vegas soon. I was like so dead set on making a vlog, like just walking around Vegas, like, oh yeah, you guys were on the strip, whatever, like, goodbye Vancouver. I was going to do that. And then I was like, oh no, we have to make another video about actual news, not about me leaving the country. Because yeah, Patrik ALLVIN, let him cook, man. Let him cook. The Canucks already, like before this Tucker Poolman stuff went on, they already had like a reason, like, we actually looked at this in the video the other day. They had $90,000 in cap space after everything was said and done, right? After Akito Hirose got sent down to Abbotsford, it was like, okay, great, they got $90,000 in cap space. They're under the cap. And now they trade away Tucker Poolman. They get Brannstrom, send him down to Abbotsford. If he clears, okay, great. If he gets claimed, okay, great. And they have 1 million now. That's amazing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks trading away Tucker Poolman. It's been a really tough road for him. You got to help but feel for him, or you can't help but feel for him and his situation there, of course. But at the end of the day, Vancouver needed to get this business done for the sake of their hockey team and their cap picture. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.